Hey everyone, I'm Nicole Guillaume with Guiding Echoes, the channel and Facebook page that is devoted to your spiritual and personal growth. Now, as I'm sure you're well aware, yesterday was a big day celestial-wise and energy-wise because we experienced a solar eclipse. And in certain parts of America, the United States of America, you were able to see a full eclipse in which the sun was completely blocked out by the moon, except for a beautiful corona. And in some places, it looked like night had fallen, at least for a few minutes. So, of course, whenever there is a huge celestial event in the sky like this, spiritualists start to ask themselves, what's the bigger meaning? Like, what does this mean for us? What does it mean for me personally? And what does it mean for us as a collective? And there's a lot of people who will say what I consider a cookie cutter answer, where they will claim that the eclipse is a time to release and let go. And that always makes me giggle because it seems like Mercury retrograde is a time to release and let go, and the waning moon is a time to release and let go. But what I did notice yesterday was there was, in fact, a lot of releasing and letting go. I found a pattern, or rather, I just kind of observed it, and it seemed like there were a lot of people in which their frustrations and anger and insecurities bubbled to the top to the point where they could no longer handle it anymore, couldn't keep a lid on it. And what I noticed was yesterday, there were quite a few people who broke up with their spouses, left relationships. I know one person who quit her job. Another friend of mine decided to not exactly quit her job, but take a step back from her small business that she was trying to create and grow. So it was very interesting. Hi, Marina. Hi, Victoria. Victoria's so cute. She's like, I made it on time. Yes, and she's got the rocker. The rocker hand signal. Good deal. Hi, Sissy. So a lot of people did get to this point yesterday. Oh, thank you, Elizabeth. Elizabeth just shared the video. Thank you, Elizabeth. So there were a lot of people yesterday who felt that they needed to release and let go of these things that weren't looking in their life. And it actually took a whole lot of sacrifice and faith to do that, because for some of them, they didn't have anything else lined up. And so today what I want you to do is really focus on what was it that you were feeling yesterday. You know, for a lot of people, they felt these intense emotions rise to the surface. And these emotions may have been triggered by insecurities of different things happening in their lives. Bokra said, I'm feeling anger and frustration and as if something is going to happen big time. Yeah, I think a lot of people are feeling that. In fact, in when you look at history, ancient history, an eclipse like what we experienced was usually an omen of something big and really disastrous. I mean, something huge that was about to happen. So I'm not surprised that you felt that. So that's actually pretty common around the eclipse. And, for me, I just felt completely exhausted all day yesterday and still feel exhausted today. And last night wasn't feeling very good. Victoria says, so much anger built up. Yeah, a lot of people are feeling anger. So whenever there's anger, whenever there's hurt, whenever there's something like that bubbling up, it's usually a sign that there's something underneath the surface, and you need to figure out what it is, because that is the thing that needs to be released. It is the thing that needs to be transformed. And so what I would like you to do is to sit with that emotion for a while. Whatever it was that you were feeling yesterday, or whatever it was that you're maybe still feeling today, I want you to allow that to come to the surface and see if you can just hold it around your chest area where your heart chakra resides. So just go ahead and think about that. Like, what thoughts were coming to the surface yesterday that really came centerfold, or what feelings were there? And we want to talk about being able to release those feelings, okay? So all of us are in this together. So I've already pulled some cards, and these cards will hopefully speak to all of us as a community, but also speak to us individually. So think about that thing that's bothering you. Think about that thing that was trying to come to the surface either yesterday or today, okay? And as you're thinking about that, and as you're holding it in your heart, and you're allowing these feelings to bubble up, and maybe you're feeling the exhaustion, or you're feeling the anger, just sit with that. Those feelings aren't going to hurt you. Granted, they're uncomfortable feelings, but they're not going to hurt you. You're okay to sit there and observe them. So with that in mind, the very first card I have for you represents the situation, and it represents why you're feeling this way. And if we were to just put a word to it, I think it would be unfair, because the card that came up is the Five of Swords. So something that happened to you made you feel unfair and feels powerless. Whenever I see this card right here, I picture that this woman is returning the sword, which she bought maybe a few days ago, and she's returning it to this guy and saying, you know, you told me that this sword would cut through wood, and it doesn't even cut through butter. You know, she's upset about the experience that she was given, because it's not what she signed up for, and it just feels completely unfair. And when we look at this guy, he has a stern look on his face, and he's sitting there rather pious, and he's still selling, you know, he's still selling those bad swords to other people. He's still peddling them. And we don't know if she's going to be able to return it or not, but she definitely wants to, right? And so that is the situation that you're in. Like, something was done that can't be taken back. And even though you're trying to tell the universe, or you're trying to tell the people around you, this isn't what I signed up for, it's like the person around you, the experience is saying, too bad, can't take it back. This is what happened. This is what you signed up for before you incarnated, or what you signed up for because of a decision that you made. And so the next card we have, to me, represents how you're feeling about the situation. And here we have the Two of Pentacles, and this is you wanting to get away from that situation, wanting to get as far away from it as you can, because it hurts so much, because it does bring so much anger, because there is pain there. And what's interesting is that this card also showed up in a spot that represents your strength. And so being able to move forward can be a strength, but we need to make sure that sometimes we're not running away from a situation before we try to move on to the next thing. Kind of like people who jump from relationship to relationship. What will sometimes happen is you're jumping from one sinking ship right onto another. So you need to make sure that before you run away from this situation, that you're able to get some type of closure, get some type of emotional peace from it before you move on to that next one. Otherwise, you're just running away and you're spinning your wheels, and that frustration is still with you. Like, look at the look on her face. Look at the look on her face. She looks worried, right? And she's pedaling on top of this water. She's trying to do the impossible. She's trying to really get away from something. The next card I have for you represents the weakness in the situation. And what's interesting here is the Seven of Pentacles in reverse. So I feel like what the cards are saying here is, what's frustrating you, what's challenging for you, is you feel as if you have not... like, you can't see the growth in the situation. You can't see the benefit. You can't look at this right now and say, how did this serve me? And I want you to know that, first of all, that's a very normal feeling. Whenever we feel as if we've been betrayed and we feel as if something is unfair, it is completely normal to look at this and say, this was of no use to me. This was really painful. This is going to cripple me. Like, I'm never going to get past this. Those are extremely normal feelings to have. But if you can step outside of that feeling for a moment and step outside of that energy, you can look back at previous challenges that you've been through, and you can see how you were able to bounce back from them. You were able to heal from them. You were able to get out of them. It was a fight, right? It wasn't always easy, but you were able to do that, and you're going to be able to do it again. So while this challenge that you're going through right now feels heavier than anything you've ever dealt with before, there is going to be some type of light at the end of the tunnel. There is going to be some type of gift that's there for you, and it is okay if you don't see it now. That's what I really want you to understand, is it's okay if you don't see it now, all right? So trying not to overthink your situation. It's okay instead to be comforting and compassionate with yourself and to say, this really hurts. I've suffered a lot, but I'm not going to give up. I don't see light at the end of the tunnel. I don't understand how this could ever help me. I don't think it can, but I'm going to be compassionate with myself, and I'm going to move on anyway. I'm going to take one small step at a time. Okay. The next card I have for you represents the advice, and here I have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. And I feel like what this is saying is, the Queen of Pentacles right side up, look at how showy she is. She's got this beautiful golden dress on. She's got her fan. She's like, I'm too good for anybody else. I am amazing. She's really kind of putting on this show. And so with this in reverse, I feel like it's saying, you don't have to wear your heart on your sleeve, but you don't have to put on the show either. I feel like it's saying, take time for yourself, take time to be in solitude, so that you can release those emotions in a way that is safe and appropriate for you. And before you go out into the world and you try to pretend to be something you're not, before you put on this persona like everything is fine and you're doing great, take time to really ask yourself, what do you want out of this situation? I know that you're feeling stumped. You're looking at this saying, this can never benefit me. This really hurt. This is unfair. But if you were to stop and you were to just think about it, ask yourself, well, what do I want out of this? Like, where do I want things to go now? Sit with that. Think about it. And if you can come up with some type of idea of what you can go for, the type of person you can be, you can eventually go out into the world and be that proud person, be that person who is like, yeah, look at me, I'm doing great. And it's no longer a show, it becomes something that is authentic. It's who you really are. But for now, solitude is great. Spend some time for yourself, discover your feelings, get curious about your feelings, figure out why they are there. And then from there say, I can rebuild myself. That's what I'm going to do. In fact, Oksana 4 is here today. She is a wonderful example of someone who's gone through a tremendous heartache and says, I'm going to rebuild myself. I don't entirely see the light of the tunnel at the end of the tunnel. I know that what was done to me can't be taken back, but I'm moving forward and I'm rebuilding myself into the person I want to be. And I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. I'm not going to just sit behind closed doors. I'm going to make something of myself, something that I can be proud of and something that my loved ones can be proud of too. So Oksana, I've worked with her for a while, and she is definitely someone who knows how to do that. And I feel like that's what this card is showing. You can rebuild yourself, and you can become someone who can take those situations in life that are unfair and maybe not exactly use them to your advantage, but you can use them to figure out how you can be stronger, so that the next time you run into some type of tragedy or situation where things are unfair, you now have the strength that you need to barrel through that next challenge too. You're just going to keep getting stronger, and that's wonderful. Next card I have for you represents the outcome, and here I have the 5 of Cups in reverse. So there's 2 things that I'm getting out of this. One is that it's going to get harder. There's no guarantee that once you confront your feelings and once you break up with that relationship, once you quit the job that's not working for you, there's no guarantee that things are going to get better, at least right away. All right? So sometimes things get worse before they get better, because now you're allowing those feelings to come to the surface, you're identifying them, you're working with them, and sometimes the only way out is through, right? So you really have to give yourself permission to feel all of this in its totality, and it's going to feel even worse. It's not going to feel great, but the positive thing is that the 5 of Cups in reverse can also be a positive card, saying that the depression comes to an end. The doubt, the insecurities, it all comes to an end. So if you have been in a situation in which you're kind of trapped by indecision, making any decision is going to give you an element of freedom. But that element of freedom will also come with a moment or a season of sadness. because you were forced into making a decision that you really didn't want to make in the first place, right? It's like going back to the job situation. The decision is usually, do I stay in this job that I hate with people that put me down, with a boss that's really kind of abusive, makes demands that I can't keep up with? I'm working so much overtime I can't see my family. I'm making lots of money, but what good is it if I'm trapped in this, under these fluorescent lights all day? Or I'm putting out rock sheet all day on the construction site. Like, what good is this to me? So the decision at that point is, do you stay there where you're making the money and you're making ends meet, but you're emotionally volatile and empty and unhappy? Or is the decision that you walk out in faith, you quit your job, and you say, all right, I'm going to look for something different? You know, both of those scenarios have a certain level of uncertainty and unhappiness. So of course you're going to feel depressed and confused and frustrated for a while. But those feelings go away as new doors begin to open, or as you make up your mind to resolve the situation. Okay, so just know that with every decision you make, especially if it feels as if it's a no-win situation, that there's not going to be a feeling of joy right away. The feeling of joy comes once things go into focus and you can see where things are heading. So, you know, it's okay if you're not there yet, and don't try to force it. Just take all of this a day at a time. So be with your feelings today. Understand that your anger is there, your insecurities are there because it's trying to tell you something, right? Pain is an indication that something is wrong. So get curious about those today and ask yourself, what is this anger trying to tell me? What is this insecurity about myself? And you may want to write it down. And then tomorrow take a look at what you wrote and see what changes you can make. See what you need to do about that, because if you just keep hiding them, guess what? They're just going to find different ways to bubble up, come to the surface, and by the time that happens, you blow up, and it's not usually a good thing. So if you're getting a heads up now that something is wrong, you're also being given an opportunity and an invitation to start making choices that can make it better. Okay, so that is your reading. I hope it was helpful for you guys. If you know of anyone else who can benefit from this reading, you can tag them in the comments, or of course you can just share this video. If you would like a personal reading with me, you can of course visit my website at guidingechoes.com. And if you enjoyed this, if this is your first time here, welcome. And I'd also like to let you know that these free readings are available Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Every day, every Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. So come join me. We can, have that conversation. And I do my best to keep up with the comments in the comment section, but sometimes it moves a little faster. I get so into what I'm saying that I can't always, pay attention to that. But I do my best. So anyhow, if you guys have any questions or comments, you can, of course, put them in the comment section. And thank you so much for all of you who are here with me live. And even for those of you who are watching the recording, may you go forward in faith and knowing that things are going to look up for you, even if they don't feel like it now. And I hope that all of you have a very blessed and wonderful day. I will see you tomorrow.